Good morning, students. Today, let me explain you about a new chapter, that is population ecology. What is population ecology? Population ecology is the study of populations in relation to the environment. It includes environmental influences on population, density and distribution, age structure, and variations in population size. Let us go through some characteristics of population. Population has the following characteristic features, that is population size, population density, dispersion pattern or the distribution pattern, demographics, survivorship curves, and population growth. Let us go through some important terminologies that comes under this population ecology. The first one being natality. Natality is nothing but the birth rate, which is the ratio of total live births to total production in a particular area over a specific period of time. So natality means the birth rate in short. Next, mortality. It is nothing but the death rate, which is also the ratio of the total number of deaths to the total population. Next, immigration. The number of organisms moving into areas occupied by the population is called immigration. Next is emigration. The number of organisms moving out of the area occupied by the population is called emigration. Let us go through some factors that increase or decrease the population size. First is the factors that increase population size. First one, natality, is recruitment to a population through reproduction, or in other words, the adding up of some new species or the new organisms to a given population is nothing but natality. Next, immigration. It is the immigration from external populations, example, bird migration. Next, factors reducing population size. Mortality, which is the death rate from any source, example, predation, or it could be due to diseases also. Next, emigration, where individuals leave the population for another habitat in search of their needs. So this is a slide which is showing how the changes occur in a population size. So in the center of this slide, you observe that there will be a group of birds which comes under a single population, and the size of that bird population increases by means of birth and by means of immigration, that is natality and immigration. However, the size of that population is going to decrease by means of emigration, which thing I already told you, and it is also due to the deaths, which could be either due to predation or due to diseases or due to natural calamities or any other such reasons. So below this diagram you observe a flow chart which shows clearly how the population size is going to be altered. So by means of emigration and mortality, the population size decreases, and by means of natality and immigration, the population size is going to increase. Population density. Population density is a measurement of the number of people in an area. It is an average number, not an exact number, it is an average number. It is usually shown as the number of people per square kilometer. So density is equal to population divided by area. Measurements of density. Density of a population is measured by two methods. One, total count method, and the other one, sampling method. What is total count method? It is direct counting of populations. It is possible for few animals, not for all, and the breeding colonies can be photographed, then later counted. Because we may not be able to count directly, so we can have the photograph of those animals or plants, and later that can be counted. Examples: human population census and trees in a given area. Now let's go through some sampling methods. It depends on the type of organism and its natural abundance and distribution. There are two broad categories are coming under this sampling methods. One is plot based, that is quadrant method. Second one, capture based method. First one is quadrant method or quadrant sampling method. It is widely used in in plant studies, and the total population is equal to average number per quadrate into or multiplied by total area or the area of the quadrate. So here on the right hand side of this, a plot has been depicted here, and there are number of different varieties of organisms are being shown here, and each is being represented by a symbol. So first the total number of individuals are being counted, and that is going to be multiplied by total area or the area of the quadrate. Second one, mark recapture method. It is used for very mobile or elusive species. Mobile species in the sense the species which cannot be counted very quickly as they are always under the phase of locomotion or movement. It was first used in the 1890s by C.G. Peterson to estimate fish abundance. So as you know that students, fishes are always under the phase of locomotion or quick movement. So it's quite difficult to count the population of a fish species or of such aquatic animals which quickly moves from one place to another place. So on the right hand side of this, you will see a pictorial representation of how this mark recapture method is being used. So as you observe here, there are two surveys or many number of surveys can be done. So survey 1 and survey 2 is shown here, and from a given population, the number of individuals are being counted, a specific number of individuals are being counted, and that comes under survey 1. Whereas under survey 2, a different area is being going to be observed or considered, and the number of individuals are going to be observed from that particular area. So here C is equal to captured and R is equal to recaptured. That is, as they are always kept under the phase of locomotion, at one particular time it is very difficult to count the population size. So continuation of this terminology is natality. The production of new individuals by birth, hatching, germination or fission or any other such means of reproduction. So two aspects of reproduction must be distinguished here. One is fecundity and fertility. You know what is fecundity is? Fecundity is nothing but the physiological notion that refers to an organism's potential reproductive capacity. That is, the total number of individuals that can be produced by a population is referred to as fecundity. Whereas fertility means it is the ecological concept based on the number of viable offsprings produced during a period of time. So fertility in short is nothing but out of the number of individuals produced by a given species, how many of them will reach the final reproductive stage, or how many of them will reach the fertility stage. So that gives you the picture of fertility. And realize fertility and potential fecundity, we must be able to distinguish between them. Next is example. Realized fertility rate for a human population may be only one birth per 15 years per female in the childbearing ages, while the potential fecundity rate for humans is one birth per 10 to 11 months per female in the childbearing ages. As you know that the pregnancy period is only about 9 months, and within that period of time a female can produce only one child. So it is for a period of 10 to 11 months, as there is variation in the pregnancy period. Coming to mortality, biologists are interested not only in why organisms die, but also why they die at a given age. Longevity. The age of death of individuals in a population is referred to as longevity. Under this, there are two types can be seen: potential longevity and realized longevity. That is, potential longevity means the maximum lifespan of an individual of a particular species is a limit set by the physiology of the organism and such that it simply dies of old age. However, the average longevity of individuals living under optimum conditions. However, organisms rarely live under optimum conditions. Most of them die from diseases, are eaten up by predators, or succumb to a number of natural hazards. Coming to realized longevity, the actual lifespan of an organism is referred to as realized longevity. It can be measured in the field, while potential longevity only in labs or zoos. Examples: European robin has an average lifespan of or expectation of 1 year in the wild, whereas it can live at least 11 years in captivity. So, here the ability of this European robin that can live in natural conditions is only about 1 year, that is in wild conditions, whereas it can survive up to 11 years in captivity. So, living under natural conditions or in wild is said to be the actual potential longevity. However, the realized longevity is the one which is there in the lab conditions. Factors affecting distribution. There are two types: density independent and density dependent. Density independent are as follows: floods, hurricanes, unseasonable weather, fire, clear cutting, pesticide spraying. And density dependent are as follows: competition for resources, predation, parasitism, and infectious diseases. Coming to a terminology, demography. Probably you must have heard of this earlier. So, demography is the study of the vital statistics of a population and how they change over time. So, demography in short is nothing but study about populations. Two statistics that are of particular importance are a population's age structure and a population's sex ratio. Sex ratio. It is the ratio of males to females in a population, and it has the following subtypes: primary sex ratio, secondary sex ratio, and tertiary sex ratio. The human sex ratio is of particular interest to anthropologists and demographers because the sex ratio of a human population varies from one region to another region. As you know that students, at present today, the ratio between female and male is said to have some differences. That is, number of males is more when compared to the number of females. Coming to age structure. The age structure describes the number of individuals in each age class as a ratio of one class to another. Age classes can be specific categories such as people in the same age group or range. So this is a graph showing the age distribution, and the percentage of trees are being shown on the left hand side and the age is being shown on the right hand side or on the y-axis. So as you observe here, the percentage is being shown in terms of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60, and the age ratio is being shown in terms of 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300 and above 300. And as you observe in this graph, the peak is being observed in case of one particular tree population, and this population of white oaks is dominated by young individuals. So they can survive for a period of up to 50 years. Whereas the population of other such plant species or the tree species, it is slightly lesser here. It is about 100 years, and it is about 150 years. It is still lesser in some plant species, and very few plant species show the age distribution of the age group of about 200 years, and very few will show 250 years, and 300 is being shown still lesser number of species of plants, and above 300 is very very less. So this is the age structure diagrams. So you will observe three types of diagrams here. One is pyramidal shaped, another is bell shaped, another is urn shaped. So in the pyramidal shaped type of uh, pyramid age structure diagram, you see there is a variation in terms of pre-reproductive age, reproductive age, and post-reproductive age. You know what is pre-reproductive age? It is the age prior to the reproductive phase, or the age from which it starts reproduces, and the period in which it can reproduce is referred to as reproductive age, and the period which it cannot reproduce and still it survives or remains, that is called as post reproductive ages. So here the male and female are showing almost the same type of uh, different ages, like pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive ages. So the graph is assuming pyramidal shaped. And in the bell shaped, there is a slight variation in terms of the male and female potentiality, and it is still variable or more variable in the urn shaped graph. Coming to age structure diagrams that divide a population into age groupings. From the perspective of population growth, a population contains three age groups, which is already being shown in the previous slide in the graphical representation. So, what is pre-reproductive age? When the reproductive group is the largest of the groups, the birth rate is higher than the death rate, and a pyramidal shaped diagram is expected. Under such conditions, even if the growth for that year were matched by the deaths for that year, the population would continue to grow in the following years. Next, reproductive age. As the size of the reproductive group equals the size of the pre-reproductive group, a bell-shaped diagram is going to result. Then post-reproductive. If the birth rate falls below the death rate, and the pre-reproductive group becomes smaller than the reproductive group, the age structure diagram is then urn-shaped, because the post-reproductive group is the largest here, which is being shown clearly in the graphical representation in the previous slide. Coming to population pyramid, again with reference to age structure. So the age structure diagram is being shown here. It is a graphical illustration that shows the distribution of various age groups and sex ratio in a population. And three age categories are considered here, as I already explained you in the previous slides. That is pre-reproductive age. It is the age between 0 to 14, and reproductive, that is ages of 15 to 44, and post-reproductive ages between 45 and up or above. So as you observe in this graph, there is a slight variation in terms of these different age categories that can be clearly observed between male and female. So you will arrive at a type of diagram, age structure diagram, which is in terms of pyramidal shaped. Coming to population growth, it refers to how the number of individuals in a population increases or decreases with time. It is controlled by the rate at which new individuals are added to the population, the birth rate, and the rate at which individuals leave the population, that is the death rate. So here population growth is mathematically defined, and a pictorial representation is being shown here. So as you observe, there are two types of population growth. One is logistic population growth, another is exponential population growth. What is exponential growth? For an exponentially growing population, the size at any time can be calculated as nt is equal to n0 e to the power of rt, where nt is equal to number of individuals at time t, n0 is equal to initial number of individuals, e is equal to base of natural logarithms, r is equal to r max, that is per capita rate of increase, and t is equal to number of time intervals. Coming to exponential growth, if a population has a constant birth rate through time and is never limited by food or diseases, it has what is known as exponential growth. So there is a great degree of increase is seen in such population, hence the growth is said to be exponential growth. With exponential growth, the birth rate alone controls how fast or slow the population grows, not other parameters, only the birth rate. Exponential growth. Continuous population growth in an unlimited environment can be modeled exponentially, which is being represented by an equation dn by dt is equal to r max n. As population size n increases, rate of population increases. That is dn by dt, it gets larger. For an exponentially growing population, the size at any time can be calculated as nt is equal to n0 e to the power of rt, which thing I already told you. Nt means number of individuals at time t, n0 is equal to initial number of individuals, e is equal to base of natural logarithms, r max is equal to per capita rate of increase, and t is equal to number of time intervals. Coming to logistic population growth. As resources are depleted, population growth rate slows and eventually stops. Logistic population growth is a type of population growth where the resources are limited or very scanty, and because of which the population size grows very lesser. On the other hand, in exponential population growth, there is a great degree of increase in the birth rate. So there will be great increase in the size of the population there, but in logistic population growth, the population size is going to be limited. So because of which you will get a sigmoid type of curve in logistic population growth, and the carrying capacity, that is K, is the number of individuals of a population the environment can support. Finite amount of resources can only support a finite number of individuals. Logistic population growth, it is being represented by an equation dn by dt is equal to r max to the power of n, that is 1 minus n divided by k, where r max is equal to maximum per capita rate of increase under ideal conditions. When n nears k, the right side of the equation nears 0. As population size increases, logistic growth rate becomes a small fraction of growth rate. It is highest when n is equal to k by 2. So there is another pictorial representation of population growth here. And the logistic equation gives the rate of population change as a function of r max to the power of n, n by n and k. As the ratio n by k increases, population growth slows. So all these being are shown clearly here in this particular slide. So coming to exponential and logistic growth curves, as I already explained you, in exponential growth rate, or the growth of a population size, where you will get a kind of different type of curve when it is being graphed in terms of population size and time, whereas in logistic type of growth or a restricted type of population growth, you are going to observe an S-shaped curve. Can you tell me why this S-shaped curve is obtained? Because when the natural or the resources are very limited, the population size cannot grow further, because of which after it reaches a peak, then there is a steady fall in the growth rate. That is what being clearly shown in the this graph. There are some limits to population growth. Environment limits population growth by altering birth and death rate. Density dependent factors. As I explained you earlier, disease, parasites, resource competition are the key factors which limits the population growth or the density of a population. And diseases, parasites, resource competition, they are the actual key factors which reduces the birth rate or which regulates the birth rate. Populations do not show continuous geometric increase. When density increases, other organisms reduces the fertility and longevity of the individuals in the population. This reduces the rate of increase of the population until eventually the population ceases to grow. The growth curve is defined as the sigmoid curve, an S-shaped curve K, carrying capacity, upper asymptote or maximum value, the maximum number of individuals that environment can support. Coming to density independent factors like natural disasters and climate. So this is all about today's class. Let us continue our discussion in the next class. Thank you.